Welcome Lund loyalists to John Lund Unleashed. Those watching on YouTube, on the John Lund Unleashed and Bay Area Sports Collective channels. Viewers on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and Lundos listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. John Lund Unleashed, brought to you by Reapel Sports Medicine. Got pain? Check out our revolutionary stem cell treatments. And guys, if low T is bringing you down, Reapel Sports Medicine can put you back in the game. Now all juiced up and ready to go, here's John.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. There you go. Birdsong's big night. That is tonight for the Giants against the Royals. Hell with that. It being a big night for him. It's a big night for me. I've been hyping him up, saying he should be in the rotation. And if he falls on his face, you guys are going to give me grief about it. So there you go. That's what I decided to lead with today. Birdsong's big night. We got a ton to go today, though. It is episode 144. Thank you for making the time. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. Please. I love that you're watching on Instagram right now or on X at John Lund Radio. Maybe you're watching on Twitch or LinkedIn when you should be working. Shame on you. Or Facebook. My personal Facebook is John Lund or John Lund Unleashed. You can go to any of those pages. Any way you can watch it. We'd like to make it easy on you to watch whatever platform suits you best. But if you'd come on over to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, please, if you'd give us a like, a subscribe, and keep those alerts on. Yesterday, we kicked out the final grades for the 49ers offseason. It started slow, finished strong. We'll do a little bit more of that today to just kind of recap that yesterday. Put out some shorts yesterday. Fred Warner, some breaking news. So all of those things, if you have your alerts on, you'll get those at John Lund Unleashed. So it is episode 144. And again, please subscribe, not only here on John Lund Unleashed on YouTube, but Tolbert's show today, which I'll tell you about in a second. Polymax Particles featuring Creative Tony as well, and Quality Hang with Rod Brooks, plus more to come. Stay tuned for that. Another reason to have your alerts on. But Tolbert is going to have In the Backyard, which if you haven't seen any of the backyard episodes, they're awesome. I know he's had Dave Fleming back there. He's had Ray Ratto back there. He's had a number of guys, Bill Martin from Channel 2. Lots of people in the backyard. Steve Kerr today in the backyard. Yes, Warriors head coach and longtime friend and former teammate of Tolbert's. In Tom's backyard in Alameda, 2 p.m. Pacific time. 2 p.m. Pacific time, Steve Kerr in Tolbert's backyard. And you can tune in only and exclusively on the Bay Area Sports Collective. So what do you have to do? You have to go over there too, and you have to make sure that you're subscribed to the Bay Area Sports Collective. So, and you see that B in the corner there beneath me. That's what it looks like. You'll know that you're there. So Bay Area Sports Collective, and that's where Steve Kerr is going to be with Tolbert at 2 o'clock today. So make sure that you tune in for that, because all sorts of stories will be told. I'm sure beers will be downed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right, as far as our show is concerned, episode 144, 49ers offseason, the good, Purdy, Kittle, Warner, the bad, Greenlaw, the ugly, unrestricted free agency, not because of who they lost, but because who they didn't get. We'll get into that conversation. Birdsong tonight, as I said and put on the cover of today's show, HAYDEN Birdsong is going to the mound. Jordan Hicks, nice to know you. This is a huge start for me, and I'll tell you why. We'll get into that conversation. The Giants' offense is downright offensive. They, like I said, how much longer can you have two guys in the lineup that are basically like having pitchers in the lineup? That's not good. Golden State's realistic targets in the offseason. We're hearing about Giannis and people, as I write, Triple J down there, Jaren Jackson Jr., some people. I mean, it's just, I get it. You're trying to get clicks. I know you're trying to be the next big thing and you want to quit your insurance job or whatever the case may be so that you can do this stuff full time. So it's click, 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 click. And I saw it. I didn't even dignify it by putting it up on the screen, but it was like Jaren Jackson for like Kuminga and like 3 second-round picks or something. Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably right now, as far as stretch bigs are concerned, he's a great defensive player, great shot blocker. He's like 26 years old. He can shoot the three, even though it's funky looking. Like that's, yeah, if they were going to get a guy in the league, he'd probably be number one on the list as far as the stretch big. He's not obtainable. Why would, first of all, they're in the same division or same conference. Why would Memphis give the Warriors Jaren Jackson Jr.? I'm sorry to start at the bottom here, but I always say this, and you don't have to do this because you do whatever you want. If that's what you like to do and you put stuff out there, that's fine. You just make other people dumber. for even thinking that it's a possibility. But the thing about him, for example, is, all right, I'm Memphis. Think of the other general manager and ask yourself one question. Will I get fired if I make this move? Will the other general manager get fired? If he traded Jaren Jackson Jr. for Kuminga and a bunch of twos, he's getting fired. Okay, that deal's not happening. Giannis, I saw a deal yesterday where it was like Kuminga, Pajemski, and 3 threes and a 1. Is the Bucks general manager getting fired if he does that deal? Yes, he is. Like on down the line. Like, I get it. You're doing fantasy stuff, and it's not always realistic. And at the time, Durant coming to the Warriors never would have been realistic. There was a loophole in the whole thing. Like, things happen. Weird things happen sometimes. But since Isaiah Thomas left the NBA, general managers aren't stupid. I mean, they might make stupid moves every now and again. But in terms of value, I've said this, and I've said this since the season ended for the Warriors. They're going to have – there's going to be a situation because the players have more power than ever, in which Giannis may, and Chris Haynes has reported this morning, and Chris Haynes does a great job covering the NBA. He's up in the Sacramento area, by the way, Chris Haynes. But he does a great job reporting it. And you know what? If Giannis wants out in Milwaukee, and he wants to go to a certain team, then the Warriors might have a chance in that whole thing because, like I said, players have more power than they've ever had before. And it really doesn't come down to, like it used to, what's going to be the best deal, and that player's just going to go to Team X. That's not how it works. Player says, I want to play for this team. So we'll get into that. I don't want to let it out now because at the bottom of that it says 2 years, then face. I'll explain exactly what that means. But let's try to stay on track, or actually me try to stay on track because I get ADD quite often. And even though I didn't put random stuff down there, and if you're new to the show, random stuff just means that I go through random stuff throughout the show, and I can be easily thrown off track. And I haven't even looked at what everybody's saying today because that's what usually throws me off track. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, our good friend Skills is in the house today. I remember that time. Please help our offense. Please help the offense. What did he get? He got a triple and this, that, and the other, and we'll see. I mean, look, Lamont Wade Jr. can't hit 154 or 156 or whatever the hell he's hitting all season long, can he? So, I mean, he's going to be due for a hot streak. That does not change my opinion. I love you, Skills. But I love $2.03, by the way. If you have a dream, by the way, it's been a while. Lamont Wade Jr. might hit 200 this year or whatever he's going to hit. It doesn't change my mind. If I'm Buster Posey, I'm overpaying for a first baseman right now because this offense is not going to get it done. Can we all agree on one thing when it comes to the Giants? And I'm going to go in order. I'm going to start with the Niners, and I'll get to the Giants. I'm all over the place this morning. The undoing of the Giants, if they have an undoing this year, it's going to be because of their offense. It always is. Starting pitching, I think tonight is a massive start. We'll get into that with HAYDEN Birdsong. The bullpen is the bullpen. Unless there's injuries or overusage, they're going to be fine. First base just really sticks out because you're going to keep Patrick Bailey behind the plate. So you already got one bad bat in the lineup. And I like Fitzgerald, and Adames will come around, and Chapman's Chapman, and Ramos is doing what he does. Jung-Hoo Lee's solid, and Yastrzemski's having a great year. We're all kind of holding our breath, waiting for that roller coaster to go when it comes to Yastrzemski's offense. But right now, it's fine. First base just sticks out. And I know, like I said, don't tell me about how difficult it is. I hate hearing that from general managers, front office types, whatever. And I like Buster Posey, but I'm differentiating between Buster Posey, the executive, and Buster Posey, the player and the person. The player and the person who I know, we were there when he got hired. He was great to us. He's a great guy. He's funnier than you think. All that. I love Buster Posey, the player. Love Buster Posey, the person. Jury's still out on Buster Posey, the executive. I don't know what he's going to do. I know how difficult it is to make trades at this point of the season, but you're also in such a unique position at first base that it's so pathetic, and you have a catcher that doesn't hit, that if you want to stay in this thing, you got to go get somebody who can hit at first base. I mean, even if it's just mid-level, So anyway. All right, let's start with the 49ers. I did this yesterday, and if you want to go to the previous edition where I did an entire, I think about 30, 40 minutes. I don't remember how long. No, I didn't go that long. I probably went 15, 20 minutes on 49ers offseason, but let's just do a quick version of that right now. So, interesting offseason for the 49ers, maybe the most interesting in recent memory, in that they start losing all these guys and people are screaming and yelling, and I'm trying to tell you to calm down because losing Hufanga now in the light of Malik Mustafa's injury, that's not great. But just losing the guys, let me just pop this up real quick, and we'll kind of go over this very quickly. Let me put myself in the corner. Boom, there's me. Boom. Back to Tenactin. Boom. So departures, we know. Debo, I'm sorry, I'm in the minority. I just don't think that's that big of a deal. The Debo from a couple of years ago, yeah, that would have been a big deal. Last year's Debo, the guy who I think moving forward is the same guy, that's not a loss. Hargrave was one of the worst signings that the 49ers have had in recent signing. Leonard Floyd, you're fooled by the 8.5 sacks. The other 600 snaps, he sucks. We'll get back to Greenlaw in a minute. Banks vastly overpaid. Hafunga, they were never going to give him the money. He was injured too much. Various word. You'd have missed the guy from 2023, not the guy from 2024. So that's the free agents that they lost. Greenlaw, there's no doubt. They're going to lose. It ain't great. They don't have anybody to replace him. I hope it can be Nick Martin. I hope it can be somebody on this roster. Dee Winters has a lot of speed and athleticism, but he didn't show it last year. As far as being able to replace Dre Greenlaw, I don't think that person is on the roster. So that's going to hurt, no doubt. Here's where I have a real problem is notable veteran additions. I'm not a Mac Jones guy. Luke Farrell for them in this offseason gave him quite a few bucks, and he's a blocking third tight end. Demarcus Robinson is just a placeholder until Ayuk gets back. Trey Brown is always hurt. Gifford, special teams. Grant, special teams. Weak, special teams. Pinnock might have to play with the injury to Mustafa's buddy, special teams. Neal, special teams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players who are essentially here because of special teams, and yet the kicker still remains. Like you did everything on special teams around the biggest problem. I get it. There were block punts, fake punts, every way that you could screw up returns, punt returns, kick returns, every way you could screw up special teams. The 49ers screwed up special teams, and along with that, momentum swung to the other team. It was a major problem last year. And special teams is one of those things that you really don't think about till they're screwed up. Offense, defense. Oh, yeah, special teams, because they kept screwing them up so much last year. So is it a bit of overkill to have like 5 guys who are specialists on special teams? Kinda. But then the biggest culprit of the whole thing was Jake Moody, and you brought in what? Greg Joseph? That's not for real. He's not a good kicker. And you brought in some kid who's 240 pounds from Louisiana Lafayette, who's the Lou Groza Award winner. Okay, maybe. I mean, I doubt those guys are going to beat out Jake Moody. I don't know that was real competition, but we'll see. But that was the major problem with special teams. A lot of problems with special teams. Bring in a couple of guys, I get it. But they're pretty much their entire haul with special teamers, because Farrell will probably play special teams because he's a third-string tight end. Robinson probably won't. Brown will be too hurt. But, I mean, if you throw Farrell in there, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys that you're going to use on special teams. For the love of God, man. I guess you needed it. So, but nothing gets you overly excited of that group. What, Mac Jones, because he was a first-round pick, he's garbage. I mean, if they need to go to him, they're going through another 6-11 or maybe even worse. Even with this bad schedule, Mac Jones can't play. Rookie-wise, I always say this is a dartboard. I don't know what to expect of any of these guys. Yeah, I watched these guys in college, especially Mikael Williams, but I don't know what he's going to be in the pros. But I know what they need. They need Williams, Collins, Martin, Stout, and West to play a lot of snaps, and especially Williams, Collins, and West. Those guys, if those 3 guys started, it wouldn't shock me next to Nick Bosa on the defensive line. Stout has to be good enough, even at his size, to play in the slot so that Demo can play on the outside, and those are your 3 corners. So he's got to be something right out of the gate. Martin or Winters, it's going to be one of those guys next to Fred Warner, who just got the big contract. Can Martin do that? God, I saw him, and he is not big, man. He's listed, I think, at like 6 foot 220. I don't even know if he's that, but that's the way things are. And that's why you take Alfred Collins and CJ West, because those guys are monster dudes, and they're supposed to keep these big offensive linemen off of guys like Martin so they can run. So we'll see. I like Brant here, the special teams coach. He looks like a special teams coach, acts like a special teams coach, spits like a special teams coach. I've said I liked Clay Kubiak because I want someone that can have the respect of Kyle Shanahan. Don't get me wrong. Kubiak's not calling plays, but can he be in that room with Kyle saying, why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? Sometimes if there is a criticism of Kyle Shanahan, there are 2. 1, he's too conservative, and 2, he gets too predictable, especially in the red zone. Can Kubiak help those things out? Key players retained. This is why we're doing a grading system, because before it probably would have been like a C or a D if we were grading this whole thing, but getting Purdy, Kittle, Warner done, and then I said Juszczyk because he got released and then re-signed. But getting Purdy, Kittle, and Warner done, and not only getting them done, but getting them done before June 1st, so that it's not like 2024. There's not holdouts. There's not hold-ins. Everything's good. Everyone feels good. Everyone's got their contracts done. Nobody is waiting till July, August, September, which has kind of been the MO of the 49ers. Maybe they learned a lesson. So those deals all get done, especially Purdy's deal. He's the leader of the team. We've talked about it a million times. And then back from injury, McCaffrey, Williams, and there's an asterisk. That's what that is there. By Brandon Ayuk. I don't know when Ayuk's coming back. At some point, yeah, but for right now, we just don't know. So there you go. That is the offseason for the 49ers. And my question to you is very, very simple. As you look at that, how would you grade it? How would you grade the offseason for the 49ers? You saw who's leaving. A lot of big names there. As far as big production, not last year. Not big production last year. The biggest production, and again, Greenlaw was hurt. So even last year, Debo, not good production. Hargrave hurt. Floyd, 8.5 sacks, fooled you. Greenlaw was hurt. Banks, overrated. I'm not giving him the money Tampa did. Afunga, hurt. And Jarius Ward, unfortunately, the off-the-field stuff. So those are a bunch of big names that helped the 49ers win some games. But the reality is the type of season they all had, for the most part, in 2024 was not really great. So departures, I mean, name-wise, you'd probably be like, that's a D. I'd say that's a C. I'd say notable veteran additions, I'd give it a D. I don't love that group. I mean, they're going to help the special teams. I get that. But there's no wow player in there. Rookies is incomplete. I just don't know. I know, like I said, Williams, Collins, Martin, Stout, West, right out of the gate, need to help. Sigel would be an interesting guy, 4.37 safety out of Kansas State because of the injury to Mustafa. Could he be something, or could they add a veteran there? I like both coaches' additions. And again, Purdy, Kittle, and Warner not only getting done, but when they got done, that's an A. So late rush at the end of the season or the end of the offseason to kind of get things back in control, because all of a sudden what's been interesting to me, and maybe I'm wrong in this assessment, you tell me. But the thing that's been interesting to me is terrible offseason, terrible offseason, terrible offseason, terrible offseason, Kittle, Brock, Warner, hey, not so bad. And then the schedule comes out and everyone's kind of excited about the schedule. And I don't know why this happens. We knew what the games were. We just didn't know the order. So we knew that the Rams were the only team that was a playoff team that they were going to play. We knew they had to, even though they're bad teams, you got to go to Tampa, got to go to New York. You got some road trips in there. Still, you look at the schedule, and even if they get medium health, average health to the NFL, and not all the weird stuff that happened last offseason, and the 49ers did their best, and I think that this is why there's a bit of optimism right now amongst 49ers fans, which is, okay, they got these deals done. It's not going to be the weirdness of 2024. Going to get off on the right foot. There's definitely something to that at the beginning of the season to kind of have a good feeling in the air, because we knew early on last year, we've talked about this, that you just knew the season was screwed up, and you hoped against hope that it wasn't. You're like, oh, no, they can overcome. I know this is an issue, but it'll be okay. I know this is an issue, but this will be okay. As a sports fan, when you're having a charmed season and when it's going to be a disaster, you just know early on. You can just tell. Now, sometimes you can get out of the tailspin, but a lot of times it is what it is, right? So we knew early on last season it was going to be a dumpster fire. You could just tell the way things were going. The Ayuk thing was weird. And Williams is holding out. Then you start getting injuries. Ricky gets shot. You're like, this season's screwed. And you keep hoping against hope, but you're like, this season's screwed. So what the 49ers tried to do in this offseason to say, okay, we got Brock done. We got Kittle done. We got Warner done. Everyone's feeling good. Everyone's going to be here. Can you get from the football gods average help? Because if they get average help from the football gods, it's 10 wins. Now, what they do with those 10 wins, are they up with, I'm not telling you that they're up with the Lions or the Eagles or the top teams in the league. They're not. By the way, Vegas has them as the odds-on favorite to win the NFC West, which I don't know that I would go that far. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think the Rams deserve their respect. I think the Rams are a good football team. I said when the schedule came out, and a lot of people disagree with me, and I'm totally fine with that. As you know, in this room, on this show, you are definitely do your opinion, and that's totally fine. I think Seattle's going to be better than a lot of people think. A lot of people think that Sam Darnold just had one great year because Justin Jefferson's that good and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and that offense was that good. We'll see. Maybe Seattle loses DK, they lose. But they lose a lot off that offense in terms of Tyler Lockett. That's the guy I was thinking. I'm like, Lockett. They lose Lockett, they lose DK. Maybe they're not going to be as good, but to me, they fortified their offensive line. They're going to try to run the football more effectively. They were terrible last year at that. I think they're going to be better with Mike McDonald defensively. So, I put Seattle beating the Niners twice. I don't know that that's going to happen. It'll probably be a split, but I don't know. It was just that day. So anyway, as far as the offseason is concerned, good Purdy, Kittle, Warner, as we look at the board. Bad Greenlaw, there's no denying it. And then ugly, like I said, unrestricted free agency, not because of who they lost to me. It was a bunch of names, not a lot of production, but it was who they signed in their place. And I know that the Niners are trying to keep cost under control. And when we see the actual numbers of Brock's contract, you'll see that they didn't do this. They didn't have this purge in the offseason because they were afraid of the numbers from Brock Purdy's contract. They're not. You can manipulate this thing, and that's what the 49ers are going to do. They're going to manipulate this whole system and everything, and it's not because of that. It's because, as I told you the other day, they spent $334 million. What do we have to show for it? 6-11? I'm sorry, these guys are all non-productive guys who get hurt way too much, and I'm just not going to pay for them anymore. And I showed you the list, and I should, from last season, and this is the bigger reason. Deebo Samuel, non-productive, overpaid. Hargrave, non-productive, overpaid. Leonard Floyd, non-productive, overpaid. Dre Greenlaw, out all last year. Aaron Banks, ridiculous contract from Green Bay. Hufanga, now that Mustafa is hurt, yeah, that hurts, and you'd like to have him back, but they weren't going to sign him for that kind of money. And Javarius Ward, unfortunately, because of the offseason, he wasn't very good in 2024. I hate that we say that because he had tragedy happen off the field. The 2023 guy, yeah, you're going to miss that guy. 2024 guy, Renardo Green actually was a better player. So that's a lot of name value. But from just last season, that's not a lot of production. So when everybody says it was because Brock Purdy was getting paid so much money, you watch the first couple of years of his number on the cap. Now, he was making $1 million on the cap last year, so anything's going to be a major raise over that. But they didn't purge just because Brock Purdy was going to start making some money. They purged because they looked at that list. Jed looked at that list. The football people looked at that list, and they said, why are we paying Deebo all that? Why are we paying Hufanga all that? Why are we paying, that's just what it comes down to is those guys weren't productive, especially last year. And a few of those guys on that list were injured and they didn't want to pay that anymore. They're like, we're 6-11 with these guys. We're going to re-sign these guys to big fat contracts. Why? So that was the major reason. So everyone freaked out. And then from a national level, because this often happens, they're just not dialed in like the locals are. And they realize that, well, that's great name value. That's not great productive value. And, I'll make you a small bet. We can bet a beer or whatever. I don't think Deebo's going to have a good year. I think Deebo's done. He plays a certain style, and it's not conducive to a long career. He runs people over as a wide receiver. He's built like a running back. When do running backs start to go like this? Late 20s, early 30s. What's Deebo? Late 20s. That's just what happens. Deebo's a great player. I'm not saying his 49ers legacy is cemented. He was a great player here. But I think when he goes to Washington, now he's going to play better than a fifth-round pick, which was what he was traded for? Probably. But, that should tell you everything you need to know about Deebo Samuel. He was traded for a fifth-round pick. And from a national standpoint, they're like, oh, my God, all these mock-ups of him in a Commanders. It's like, yeah, so? Did you watch it all last year? Anyway, I'm not here to rip Deebo. I'm just simply saying that as I look to the offseason, let me just cut to the chase, and I'd love to get your thoughts too. But it's, so early in this offseason, I'd say D, even though, and again, it's not because of the guys that got let go. It's because I was waiting for that splash guy that never came, right? You're sitting there going, okay, they got it. I understand they're trying to save money, but who are they going to bring in? So I'd say early in the offseason, probably a D. And then you hear the Dre Greenlaw thing where they misread the market on Dre. And I understand, I had heard early in this process that they were trying to get Dre in a 1-year deal. And there were other teams that were going to go multi-years on Dre Greenlaw. What ended up happening, by the way, because I tell you about this all the time with the funny money, it's 3 and 35 for Dre Greenlaw. It's a 1-year deal. It's a 1-year deal for Dre Greenlaw. That's where they misread the market. So you weren't, they were set, I think, at $1 or $8 or $9 million, and he ended up getting like 12 for the one season, 12, 13 for the one season. That's where they misread the market. And I told you this before. Nick Bolton got signed before free agency, the linebacker out of Kansas City. Ernest Jones, Seattle, got signed by Seattle, and Sherwood, the linebacker from the Jets, got signed right before free agency. Those three guys jacked up the linebacker market, and Dre Greenlaw was the last one available, the last one standing. And supply and demand, real basic premise, right, in business. His number went up. 49ers tried to change it. It was too late. The Broncos got him. So you've got to give that's a mark against the 49ers, because I think that's the one guy they're definitely going to miss. Having said that, it's not a guarantee coming off an Achilles that Dre is going to be Dre. It's not an excuse. They still, I think, I would have done it. I would have overpaid for him. I would have taken the chance. He's a tone setter. Fred Warner, who is one of the pillars of your organization right now, wants to have him on the team, and I think that matters, and I think that it sets a tone for the defense, because as I look at the defense right now, and I think they're going to score points, and I've said this, defensively, though, you may be looking at 3 rookies on a defensive line. They're at least playing major snaps. Mikael Williams has got to start at an edge. Collins is a second-round pick. There's no question he should be starting, and I like C.J. West a lot, and at the very least, he's going to be rotating in with Jordan Elliott and with Kevin Givens and guys like that. So he's going to be a major contributor. So you're going to have 3 rookies contributing heavily and or starting on the defensive line. And wouldn't it be nice if it was Dre Greenlaw instead of Nick Martin? Just Greenlaw and Warner. Okay, I can live with that. And then you go to the secondary and you hope Bernardo Green takes a second-year jump. Demo Lenore's there. You need Stout to take that nickel position, take the interior so that Demo can stay to the outside. And I'm nervous about the safeties. But can Robert Saleh create some magic? He might be able to. So that's kind of the offseason to me. So D early on wasn't as mad about the guys who left, didn't love the guys they signed, but to get the 3 guys signed that they got signed, the pillars in Purdy, Kittle, and Warner, and in the timing that they did, I'd say that that's an A. So B minus. Am I being too generous? B minus for a grade for the 49ers in the offseason? B minus. Maybe it's stuck in my head, these last 3 signings. Like I said, I'm not as angry about the guys that left, but the haul that they got as far as the guys from the outside, if Luke Farrell is the best you're doing, who's a 3rd-string blocking tight end, then, yeah, it's not overly exciting. So I'll go B minus. You can tell me where I'm wrong there. I'll go B minus on that. What do you think? And again, good, bad, ugly, as you see right there. And we're at the graded part of the show as we're 27 minutes into the show. And good morning to you. And let me check in. I'm not checked in on any other platforms yet this morning. So let me see what's going on as far as our good friends on. Oh, there we go. Our good friends are watching on Instagram. Very, very cool. If you're watching on X, thanks for joining us this morning at John Lund Radio. We appreciate it. And again, migrate over to the show if you would. That would be absolutely great. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube and the Bay Area Sports Collective. And let me tell you one more time, Tolbert today with Steve Kerr in the backyard at 2 o'clock. I sound like it's a board game and it's Clue. In the backyard with Steve Kerr drinking IPAs. Yeah, 2 o'clock on the Tom Tolbert Show, which is on the Bay Area Sports Collective. So make sure that you are there, please. That would be dandy. All right, as far as let me make sure that I don't have anything on the Niners here that we need to hit, because I'm going to move on to Birdsong here in just a second. B minus seems fair. See, there you go. B minus seems fair. I think, again, you can tell me where I'm crazy. I mean, there was I think it was a bad taste in the mouth, right? Oh, they're purging this and that. And then all of a sudden they just came on strong at the end. And oh, by the way, you are the man. No, I did not text him back. I love when people listen to the show, actually. Thank you, Scott. I need to text Papa back right after the show. I will, I promise. One thing I wanted to get across too was that, sorry, my eyes are going blurry on me for a second. One thing I wanted to get across, remember there was a certain person who said that the 49ers didn't want to win, and I was like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Remember that? Early in the offseason, there was a person that kept sending out on social media, well, Jed York just doesn't want to win. The 49ers just don't want to win. They're just kind of giving away the season. It's like, what are you talking about? This is the San Francisco 49ers. They don't give away seasons. They don't say they don't tank. They don't do stuff like that. I told you that I'm like, of course they want to win. I just gave you the list of guys that they let go, and people were writing stuff and saying stuff and being like sheep, follow the leader, that the Niners somehow didn't want to win, that this mean they didn't want to win and that they were taking a step back. Okay, well, would you take a step back if you signed George Kittle to all that money and Brock Purdy to all that money and Fred Warner to all that money? I think 56 of the $63 million for Fred Warner is guaranteed. Do you do that if you don't want to win? Just saying. That was the stupidest thing I heard this offseason, somebody trying to say that the 49ers were taking a step back and they didn't want to win. And I told you the whole time, because I was talking to people down there, like, that's not what we're doing. We're purging because we're looking at the future of the franchise. And it's not Brock Purdy's money. And I told you that too. It's not because Brock's getting paid these oodles of money. Eventually he is. But the way that they structure these contracts, they don't kill you like they used to, man. The league doesn't want to do that. They want you to retain your players. They want continuity. They want guys playing on certain teams. They just do. That's just the way the league operates. So look, they've made it easier than ever. The cap keeps going up. I'm not saying it's great that this is happening with the 49ers, but again, when people come out who are stupid and say, well, this is going to hamstring the 49ers, they're not going to be able to keep their team together, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Over the last 2 years, the cap has gone up nearly $50 million. And that's just the last 2 years. And the revenues keep going up and up and up and up and up. And the reason we bitch and moan so much, man, I got to have Prime and I got to have this and I got to have that. I got to have like 5 different kind of things. And I got to have Peacock and I got to have all these different things. I got to have Netflix. You know what that equals? Revenue. You know what the revenue equals? More money. You know what more money equals? Bigger contracts. That's what the deal is. And so the cap keeps going up. So it's not as impactful as it has been in the past. They're going to be able to retain and maintain. They just looked at what they thought was cutting the fat. And I really don't have an issue with it. Like I said, the impact of players, we'll see. Maybe Hufanga has a great year and he's healthy in Denver. Maybe Dre Greenlaw comes out off that Achilles like nothing happened. Maybe Deebo Samuel drinks from the fountain of youth and he is awesome and Washington's even better than they were last year. I have a feeling they won't be because they're not going to sneak up on it anymore. And look, CJ Stroud was great his rookie year. Second year, league went, okay, try this again. I'm not saying Jaden Daniels isn't going to be good. I think Jaden Daniels is a really nice quarterback. But I would just say do it more than 1 year. That's all. That's all I'm saying. So we'll see on those guys. I think maybe all those guys are great. I love Shavarius Ward. He was a great guy to talk to. I hope he kicks ass in Indianapolis. But the guy that they had last year, because of the off-the-field things, he wasn't very good. And Jed York looked at it like a businessman and said, not overpaying for these guys. And it wasn't just because of Brock Purdy. And I think we're starting to find that out. All right, let's move on. Because I said I wanted to get to Birdsong. And every time I say I want to get there, then I start yapping about the 49ers again. So let me get to Hayden Birdsong. Before I do that, let me give you a gander at my screen here, which is last night. And Robbie Ray deserved better. Robbie Ray pitched great last night. Is that? Let me see here. That's game notes. Oh, here it is right here. Sorry. I think that's the box score from last night. I can't even tell. All right, there you go. Let me just go down to Robbie Ray right there. Robbie Ray deserved a much better fate. 7 innings pitched. That's a 0 under earned runs. He's at a 2.67 ERA. Tyler Rogers gives it up. I can't really bitch and moan about Tyler Rogers giving it up last night. Gives up a 2-run shot, a 2.01 ERA. So I can't really complain. Jordan Hicks, not great. He's adjusting. We'll see. But Robbie Ray is the story, and it's absolutely great. But see that one right there? Yeah, that's not good. And as I continue to talk about this offense consistently, the bottom line to the whole thing is this. And Casey Schmidt, by the way, at first base last night. Look at Lamont Wade Jr. getting that pinch hit all the way up to 172. Way to go, man. 172. You are rocking and you are rolling. It's going to come down to what it always does with the Giants, which is, will they score enough? Penn's going to be fine. This is why tonight's game is such a big start. Let me take that off your screen there because I'm sure you miss looking at my face and everything. Tonight's a big start for me because I've been screaming from the rooftops and up on, a pedestal and this kind of stuff. Birdsong, 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 Birdsong. Big fan. Like the kid, mature. His stuff plays. I mean, he's throwing 98. He's got bend. I mean, he's got natural movement on his pitches. I mean, the dude, he's got everything. I think mentally he's got it. Physically he's got it. He's got the repertoire. He's got the stuff. I don't see anything he doesn't have. Consistency because he's a young player, those kind of things. I don't know if he'll go 5 tonight, 7 tonight. I'm sure they'll keep a tight eye on him and see if he's stretched out to throw 100 pitches, whatever the case may be. But this to me is a really big start. I'll tell you why. Because Logan Webb is Logan Webb. He's going to do what he's going to do. Say it with me. He's in the bank. Robbie Ray has really emerged. He's been great. One of the better number 2 starters in all of baseball. So now you got 2. You've already got the bullpen, which we know about. Now, who's your number 3? Here's where the problem starts. Who's your consistent number 3? It's not Verlander. He hasn't been that way this year. At times, you've seen him pitch well. He's had some defensive issues behind him at times, but Verlander hasn't been a number 3. Landon Roop, way too inconsistent. Jordan Hicks, he's in the bullpen. So the issues from the starting pitching standpoint so that you can maintain that bullpen, not overuse that bullpen. That's what scares the hell out of me is they got a lot of good arms down there in that bullpen. But as I pointed out the other day, they had the second most innings pitched in all of baseball last year, I believe, behind Detroit. And they're going to burn out their bullpen if they keep this thing going. So they've got to find a consistent 3. You'd like to find a consistent 4. Not many teams have that, but the better teams have a consistent 3. And then you can kind of piece it together. You'd like to not, but your 4 can be, and then your 5 for most teams in Major League Baseball is kind of a crapshoot. But you've got to have 3. If you're going to stay in this thing, you've got to have 3. So you've got Webb, you've got Ray. Can Hayden Birdsong be your number 3? Can he be a solid number 3? Because I think he can. And I know a lot of people want to say, well, if he can't, then they've got guys down. They've got guys below that can do that. Maybe it's going to be Kyle Harrison. We just saw Carson Whisenhunt win AAA Pitcher of the Week. That's all fine and dandy and good. I've seen it a million times. I don't trust AAA guys. Sorry. I've seen lots of them have great years. Maybe Carson Whisenhunt is really good. Maybe he's a 4A guy. Maybe he's the next Logan Webb. Maybe he's the next, I don't know. Who knows? It's a complete crapshoot. Like I said, that's dartboards against the dartboard. It's darts against the dartboard. I don't know what rookies are going to give you. I don't know what AAA guys are going to give you. Just like I said, I don't know what the 49ers rookies are going to give you. Haven't seen enough of Whisenhunt at this level to know what he's going to give you. But I know what Birdsong's capable of doing. And so if Birdsong pitches well tonight, if Birdsong gives them a consistent 3, now you're cooking with gas. And really, because if he doesn't pitch well tonight, it's going to make me look bad. So I've got a vested interest in this thing because I've sat there and gone, make him the guy, make him the number 3. So it's a big start tonight. It's a big start tonight for Hayden Birdsong because if he can be a consistent 3, okay, now what do you got? Can Verlander be a 4? And when Verlander was signed, and if you go back to previous shows, that's how I thought the 49ers should look, the Giants should look at him. A lot of people were going, what's Justin Verlander? He's going to be the 2. It's 42-year-old Justin Verlander coming off a neck injury. Again, we sound like the Clue game. Justin Verlander, 42, off a neck injury, hasn't been good in 3 years, and you're going to say he's going to be a number 2? No, he's not. I thought that the Giants going into the season should have said, okay, if Justin Verlander's good, if he can give us 15 to 20 starts and be solid, I'd have taken that. Because that's 42-year-old Justin Verlander. I think this is the last year Verlander's going to pitch. The injury is not a major injury, but I still think that maybe, just maybe, you could put him on the shelf for a minute just for like one start to just, let him catch up, work on some things on the side. I think there's some frustration there for him. I was there. I covered his first couple of starts, and he was kind of a little happy-go-lucky. And then last time, and I played this cut for you yesterday, he was asked about the injury, and he was kind of like, I'd rather not talk about it. He seems a little testy right now, a little frustrated. When you've been as good as he's been for as long as he's been, he's going to the Hall of Fame. He could tell the Giants tomorrow, I'm done. And he's first ballot. And if you didn't vote for him, then you're a moron. I mean, that's just how I feel. You're either a Hall of Famer or you're not. You know that. So as far as Justin Verlander is concerned, he's a Hall of Famer. Today, tomorrow, you got to vote him in, whatever. He's one of the best pitchers of his generation. Great. But when he's 42 and not exactly healthy, then maybe he's a 4. And I told you at the beginning of the season, I would have looked at Justin Verlander like a 4-5. That's just how I thought he was going to pitch. He's coming off a major injury. It's been a couple of years since he was really, really effective. Got a ton of respect for who he is, going to the Hall of Fame. This isn't going to tarnish his career in any way, shape, or form, but he was a 4 or a 5 coming in to me. And that's kind of what he's come out to be. So if Birdsong's consistent, then Verlander can be my 4. then I'm feeling pretty good. And then 5, I don't know, Wisenhunt, Roop, Hicks, whatever. They've got some depth within not only the team, but the organization. Nobody has a starting 5, I don't think. I have to double check. There probably is a few teams. But I mean, 1 to 5, just boom, 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 like Seattle was last year, just boom, 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 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 5. Most teams in Major League Baseball don't have that. So if you can get a 4, and that's what I mean, Birdsong's at 3, he becomes solid. Verlander, good enough to be a 4, and then 5 is kind of a rotation of things. I can live with that. And the Giants can stay in it with that. And the bullpen's going to be the bullpen, and then you turn to Buster Posey and you go, what are you going to do about first base? I know he got a hit last night. What are you going to do about first base? And how long is it going to take? And you have to wait till the end of July because you don't. I mean, we're at the end. We're in the middle of May or just past the middle of May. What is today, the 20th? So we're not in the middle of May. We're past the middle of May. So we're May 20th. So could you get a deal done in the next month? I mean, that's still a month early. You're going to have to overpay. I understand that, but you can't have 2 outs in your lineup. We don't need to go back to that. So give me your thoughts. Birdsong tonight. Did somebody say I was jinxing him? Probably. Don't buy Birdsong rookie cards. I'm not going to tell you. I won't tell you. I'm not basing, let's put it this way, Dom. I'm not basing my child's college career like I once did with Casey Schmidt on HAYDEN Birdsong, but I do have a few. As a matter of fact, there's a shop by my house, and I went out the other day and bought some packs just for the heck of it. I hadn't done that in a while. And then I bought a couple that were in the case, and they're not high-end Birdsong cards because I thought the same thing you did. I have jinxed players in the past. I know this is shocking. I have jinxed Casey Schmidt, for example, a bunch of autograph cards and everything, and I stacked up on him because what happened was, if you're new to the show, our old pal Mike Kohler, who now runs KNBR, was, and I think still is, I think he ran the show as far as the broadcast for the San Jose Giants. And we kind of were making some jokes, and I always would ask him about players, and he goes, this dude Casey Schmidt, man, out of San Diego State, he can pick it at third, but he can't hit, and he wasn't really hitting. All of a sudden, man, he took off. The bat took off, and he's hitting a ton of home runs, and Mike's telling me that this guy can play, and he's got some power, and I went, I'll invest in this guy a little bit just for some fun, and I did at a fairly high level, and then, we know what's happened. And then when Pop and I were working together, we had this uncanny ability to have a player on a weekly, like we would get what we'd call a weekly. So we're paying a player, right? The station's paying a player to come on. And for years, that player would get hurt every single time. We paid Ryan Vogelsong. He got hit by a pitch. We paid Josh Reddick. Reddick ran into a fence in Houston. We paid Casey McGee. Remember Hits McGee when he came over from the Marlins? Yeah, he was DFA'd like a month into the season. There were more. There were like football players. I can't even remember all of them off the top of my head, but essentially the only guy, and we would have weeklies every season for every team. The only guy that escaped our wrath that I can remember did a weekly with us was Josh Donaldson. We did a weekly with Josh Donaldson when he was on the A's. It was a really fascinating weekly because he was just very, 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 very honest. If we asked a dumb question, or if he was pissed off, or if he had a bad week, or if he had a good week, or he would talk about, his hitting philosophies. I mean, it was really fascinating every week, but he was the only guy who didn't get hurt. And I don't know if it ever got back to the organizations, because I got to be honest with you, like if I'm the Giants, I would never have put a guy on our show because he would just be like, he'd be hurt. Not for like an occasional guy. I'm talking about like we would have a weekly with a guy, and inevitably that dude would get hurt every single friggin' time. The Niners just told us no way. We're like, we're not doing a weekly with you. Like there's a high enough risk for injuries as is. We're not doing something with you. But the Giants, because we weren't the flagship at that time, and then we moved over. And then when our show moved over to KNBR, I'm trying to think. I don't know if we lost that. I don't know if guys got hurt at that point when we had them on for weeklies, and guys weren't doing weeklies as much anymore. Radio stations didn't want to pay for it anymore. So I'm not sure that they did that. But yeah, there was a streak of about 5 or 6 years there where we would have a guy on and that guy inevitably would get hurt. It was brutal. So I get that's not really what is going on as far as Birdsong is concerned. I have not, just so that everybody knows, I have not invested in HAYDEN Birdsong to the extent that I've talked about him, because I did not want to jinx him. You're exactly right. I am fully aware of that. But maybe I'll go out tonight. Maybe I'll go out today and see what I can do. No, I won't. Yeah, I don't know if it was a fetish. I don't know if I would, if it was a fetish. Birdsong prices are rookie cards that are rare, 200 plus. Yeah, I don't have those kind for Birdsong. I didn't. I should. I talk like I should invest that much in him, but I have not. I have not invested to that level with him. But anyway, there you go. So no, I just think it's a big start tonight. That's all I'm going to say. I think it's a really big start because if you're a true contender, you've got three. You've got to have three. So they got two. They got Webb. They got Ray. Who's three? They got to get a solid third. Fourth and fifth can fluctuate. Fifth certainly can fluctuate. I think that Verlander, and I said this from the beginning of the season, before he even threw one pitch, before spring training, I said if Verlander can be a 4, if they're counting on Verlander for anything more than a 4, they're making a mistake. And so all of a sudden you got a solid guy at 3. Verlander can be a 4. Crapshoot at 5. Bullpen's really good. Go get a guy for first base. Let's see what you got. That's what I think. Let's see. You need to watch Birdsong on his debut. We need you in there for the good vibes. Yeah, I guess I could go down to the yard tonight. That would be pretty nice. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm good vibes. Like I said, it's been a long time since we put the hex on somebody, like the injuries and everything like that. But anyway, there you go. All right. Thank you very much. I do have to mention the Warriors. Well, I did mention the Warriors at the beginning of the show, so I understand that. The Warriors talk was killing me. Totally understand that. I did mention, and by the way, anything else on the Giants? Big game tonight. Like I said, big game tonight. I'm excited to see Birdsong pitch. He's pitched really well out of the bullpen. In fact, that 2.31 ERA, was it the Cubs? I think it was the Cubs recently or somebody like that who he pitched against and was terrible. Or else he'd have an ERA in the one. So, and I'm also fascinated to see how long they give Birdsong. You know, I like the kid. And I like to see guys pitch out of jams. I'd like to see that. I'm just a big fan. And I told you probably the beginning of last year, I liked him better than I liked Kyle Harrison. I like his maturity. I like his demeanor. I like his pitch mix. I like everything about him. So maybe I will go out and get some cards today. I'm talking myself into it. I kind of feel like it. All right, that's just the Giants. That's the Giants side of things. I went into as we get to the bottom there, Golden State realistic targets. The only reason I brought that up was because, like I said yesterday, and this is fun, and people love clicks, and I understand all those kind of things, and everybody's throwing out these unrealistic things. Here's what's interesting. Let me just jump to the bottom there where it says 2-year run, then face. What that means is I'm skeptical, and here's why. Let me just use Giannis as the example because everybody's freaking out over Giannis because he has a meeting, if you have not heard, Chris Haynes, who does a great job covering the NBA, who I believe is still up in Sacramento, has been with a number of outlets, very underrated. He's very good at what he does. And he says that the Bucks and Giannis are going to have a face-to-face meeting next week. In that meeting, I don't know Giannis whatsoever, okay? But he's at that magical age of 30 where you start thinking about your basketball mortality, which is how much more am I going to win, right? He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. A couple more years, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe he's already in now, but he's going to the Hall of Fame. And so he starts thinking to himself, okay, if I stay in Milwaukee, what am I looking at? Well, they don't have a whole lot there. Damian Lillard just got hurt. It would be a perfect time for him to jump ship. Now, maybe he feels some sort of a connection to Milwaukee. Maybe he does. I don't know anything about it. But I just know this. He's not going to be in contention in the Eastern Conference anytime soon. So he probably looks at that and says, I'm 30 years old. I'm not going to be in contention for a number of years here. We're going to rebuild. Why would I want to go through this? He probably doesn't. He's got the taste of one championship in his mouth. I'm sure that he wants more. And when certain players are as good as what Giannis is, that's what they start looking at. Like, how high can I climb this ladder? He's going to the Hall of Fame. How high can I climb this ladder? And the only thing to do where he is win championships, right? So people are talking about him with the Warriors. But here would be my thought. Again, I don't know Giannis whatsoever, but I'm just trying to think logically here. He wants to win championships. He's got whoever it is who comes to the Warriors right now knows that there's a 2-year window. Draymond, Curry, Kerr, Jimmy, all those contracts run out in 2 years. And then that's it. And then they're in a complete rebuild. So what they've got to convince, what the Warriors would have to convince Giannis of is, hey, man, come here for 2 years, hopefully win a championship, at least one. And then you become the face of the franchise at 32. He's only 30 years old. You can be the face of a franchise at 32 and probably have 5 good years left, and we'll rebuild around you. And if I'm Giannis, does that sound good to me? I mean, maybe it does. I don't know his relationship with Steph Curry. Everybody keeps saying and showing all these pictures and things. And again, you can manipulate the way things look. I have no idea what he thinks. A lot of people think he wants to play with Steph Curry, but it's like I said, it's a weird thing here. This is not a 5-year run. This is 2 years. It's going to go into the toilet. You're going to be the face of the franchise, and Giannis is going to find himself in 2 years if he came to the Warriors in the exact same position he's in with the Bucks. So why would that appeal to him? Unless he really feels like he can win a championship here. I don't know. And like I said, it's not going to be so much for the compensation, because if he tells the Bucks, I want to go to the Warriors and make it happen, the Bucks are going to say, you helped us win a championship. Gotcha. Because you want to, this is just the way sports works nowadays. They want to do right by the player because the organization then looks good. Other people maybe want to come to the Bucks. I don't know. That's just kind of how it goes. In the past, it'd be pound sand, man. We're going to send you to the place that makes us better. We're going to send you to the place that makes us the best deal. It doesn't work like that anymore. The player has the power. So if he says he wants to come here, he could come here with the caveat of, and his agent's going to say to Steve Kerr and the rest in the front office so much, okay, when Kerr and Draymond and Curry and Jimmy are up in 2 years, 2 seasons, and he's the face of the franchise of what? Of a massive dumpster fire in 2 years? How are you going to sell that to Giannis? How are you going to sell that to anybody? Now, there's certain guys who you're going to trade for, and they don't have a choice. They're just going to come here. But it's the same thing with a guy like Miles Turner. I keep bringing his name up. Or people are bringing up Jaren Jackson Jr., which I don't see at all. 25, 26-year-old guy who's in Memphis. He's already got Ja Morant. They can grow as a team. I mean, that's kind of a dumpster fire, a mess of a team. But still, I don't know why you'd want to come here as a young player, any young player, to say, okay, we're going to make a 2-year run. Then I'm going to be the face of a franchise that has nobody around him. Because Kuminga's getting traded. And not that that would maybe make that much of a difference and someone wanted to come here, a player. But, I mean, Kuminga's getting traded. The cupboard's going to be bare in 2 years. So you got a 2-year window here. And then you're the face of what? And that's what I mean at the bottom. 2-year run, then face. You're the face of the franchise, but what do you exactly have control over? Everyone's gone. So you have a 2-year window. So unless you're really compelled to want to play with Steph Curry, which Giannis might be, or there's a player out there that might be, but in 2 years, you're going to be really bad. So to me, that's going to be a really tough sell with the Warriors. We got 2 years here. And Steph was asked about it in his post-game press conference. Are you thinking 2 years? Well, he's thinking year to year. But yeah, 2 years. He's going into his age 38 season. He's going into his age 40 season. And let's be honest. I love Steph Curry, and we all think he can do it forever, but he needs a Batman now, let alone 2 years from now. Can Steph Curry be the Batman of a team that wins a championship? Possibly, if everybody around him is just that good. But every year he just gets a little bit less. And that's just the way it goes, man. It's like gravity. It's just pulling you down. Father Time is 100% undefeated. And so Steph Curry can be great, but at age 40, let's just say Steph wants to play beyond the 2 years. At age 40, Steph is not exactly, a standstill three-point specialist, but that's the way it's leaning. He's great, but he needs somebody to help him. We saw that. He had the injury at the end of the year. He needs someone. He was just overtaxed at the end of the year. So anyway, that's my whole thought about someone coming to the Warriors is they're going to have to think long and hard that, hey, this 2 years, that's going to be a lot of fun. Probably be, you'll be in the playoffs. You might be able to have a deep run, any of those kind of things. But then when those 2 years are up and those go fast, 2 seasons, gone. Then what? What are you the king of? This hill of, what? So anyway, there's my thought on that. I know some people don't want to do Warrior stuff, but I just came across because all these people were putting stuff up like Jaren Jackson Jr. and Giannis and all this. And look, if those guys want to play with Steph and are pounding the table to want to play with Steph, then it could happen. And we'll keep an eye on next week and Giannis and all the reports that come out and where he wants to go. But like I said, logic tells me San Antonio, Houston, places like that are better fits. It also tells me Milwaukee would probably go to him. And this doesn't necessarily mean it's true, but Milwaukee would probably, for mutual respect, say, look, man, we don't want to send you anywhere in the East. So that would heighten Warriors fans and get their antennas up a little bit more. If I'm Milwaukee, I'd say, look, we'll play ball with you. You got us a championship. You helped us win a championship. You did win the championship. You are an MVP. You put the Milwaukee Bucks back on the map for a number of years. But the only thing we ask for is we don't want to send you to the East. So don't ask us to send you to Boston or New York or, whatever. We don't want to send you there. Brooklyn, I know Brooklyn's been some talk that he could go there. I don't know why you'd want to go there, but there's been some talk there. It's just like, look, we want to send you to the West. We want to send you out of the conference. Not that should matter for Milwaukee because they're going to be bad for a long time, but I think that's what they would do. They would just be like, look, man, don't want to send you there. So just do us that one favor. All right, what else? Episode 144. Thanks for joining us. John Lund Unleashed right here on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Make sure that your alerts are on. I've got a little scroll at the bottom too. Bay Area Sports Collective today at 2 o'clock. Steve Kerr is going to be in the backyard of Tolbert's house, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. I'm sure there'll be some national stuff. I'm sure there'll be some IPAs back there, so that should be a lot of fun. So make sure that you are subscribed on the Bay Area Sports Collective. Make sure on John Lund Unleashed you have those alerts on because we're sending more stuff out today. Plus, I'm finishing up a column at johnlundunleashed.com, so make sure you hit us up there. Thanks today for watching on X at John Lund Radio and on Instagram at John Lund Radio. Do remember, love comments, love feedback. I asked you for a grade for the 49ers. Put it on the comment section here if you're watching the show later, and I will respond to those. If you want to hit me up on X, that's a great way. I'm always on X at John Lund Radio, so make sure that you hit me up there as well. Is there anything else we need to hit? Did the offseason grades for the 49ers. Did some good, bad, and the ugly. Graded, I asked you. Birdsong, my reputation is on the line just as much as his is because I pounded the table for him. The Giants offense, the downfall, we've talked about that. Golden State realistic targets. I don't think Jaren Jackson Jr. 2-year run, then you're the face of what? That's what that means at the bottom there. I did not have a caboose pistol for you today. I apologize for that, but I did not have a caboose pistol. Do remember, there you go. We're going to have a full loaded all the shows today. Paulie and Tony today and Polymax Particles at 11 o'clock on the Bay Area Sports Collective. So make sure that you hit those guys up at 11 o'clock. And then, like I said, Tommy is with Steve Kerr in the backyard at 2 o'clock. So very cool, man. Very, very, very cool. Anything else today that we need to discuss that I have missed? Yeah, that's a good point. Tell them a 2-year window, then we'll trade you. It's just the thing that sucks about that is I'm Giannis, right? I'm not, but stay with me for a second. He moves to the Bay Area. He likes it. He's got a family. All the tech, he gets into the tech side of things like Iguodala did or Durant did, and they start making some money, and he starts making business connections and has a life. And then, okay, Steph leaves, Draymond leaves, Steve leaves. The stakes of the circus go up. Okay, we'll trade you. And that's not necessarily what you want to do. I mean, if you're Giannis, it's like, do I want to be that hired gun? Like I said, I'm not acting like I know Giannis because I don't. But he's been in Milwaukee for a while. He's been able to put roots down. He probably feels pretty good about that. Hey, make the run with Steph and we'll trade you in 2 years. I don't know that players want to do that. I sure as hell don't. Like, it's like I want to get stability. Everybody wants stability in their life. So we'll see. What else do we have today? Good, bad, and the ugly. Grade it. Birdsong tonight. Giants offense. Golden State realistic targets. No JJJ 2-year run. Then you're the face of what? Anything else I missed today? Let me double check that I gave you all the media stuff. That was the cover of the show today. Yes, I'm excited for Birdsong. I think I'm going to go out and buy some Birdsong cards just for the heck of it today. I'm just going to. I just feel like it. I might do that. Also, remember my good friend, Dr. Jeffrey Riopel. Please tell Dr. Jeffrey Riopel, tell Dr. Riopel and Riopel Sports Medicine I sent you over because here's the great thing. I told you about this. Click on that QR code right there. I'll wait. Because my wife, she doesn't need any of these contraptions, any of these cold packs, any of these ice packs that she always puts on her elbows, shoulder. And she had the foot done too. That's been probably 6 or 8 weeks ago because we've been to Vegas, a couple other places. She used to have trouble walking long distances, things like that. Like I said, she used to put ice packs on. We were watching shows on the couch. She would be like this mummy that had ice all over her shoulders and her elbows. Doesn't happen anymore. Doesn't happen anymore because of Dr. Riopel, Riopel Sports Medicine, and the lack of pain that she is now feeling. So I'm telling you, if I've been sure about anything in my life, this stem cell stuff works. And Dr. Riopel was one of the first to do it in the state of California. So he does it right. So click on the QR code right there. If you got pain somewhere, he can help you. At least get a consultation about it. He's in San Ramon. It is worth the drive if you're not in the East Bay. I promise you. And when you make the appointment, tell Dr. Riopel that John Lund Unleashed sent you over there, and he will take care of you, even extra special. He really takes care of you extra special no matter what. But make sure that you do that. If you can't get to the QR code right now, look it up. Google it. Whatever is your search engine of choice. Riopel is Riopelle. Riopel. Dr. Jeffrey Riopel. Riopel Sports Medicine. He's in San Ramon. I'm telling you, the stem cell stuff works wonders. And then I do, like I tell you this all the time, I got low T. It's been years and years I've done it. You do a quick blood test. You see how low you are, and they get you right to that level that you feel great. So I've got more energy. My metabolism is a lot faster. I'm in better mood, all those kind of things. You're just feeling like yourself. I mean, and like I said, I used to do this, but then I had to do the blood test and do all the kind of things. And then I had to go in for weekly shots. Dr. Riopel does not do that. Every 4 months, you do a quick procedure. Every 4 months, boom, I do it 3 times a year, and I feel absolutely great. I cannot recommend it highly enough. So again, same thing, Dr. Jeffrey Riopel. If you click on that QR code right there, he's going to take care of you, or you can just look it up. Like I said, Riopel Sports Medicine, Dr. Jeffrey Riopel right there if you click on the QR code. And the other thing about Dr. Riopel is that they do all sorts of other procedures over there. So if you click on the QR code right there, whether it be low T or the treatments that my wife does with stem cell, they do those, but they do other ones as well. So if you can't get to that QR code right now, just look it up. Whatever your favorite search engine is, Riopel Cosmetic, Riopel Sports Medicine. Check them out. They do an amazing job. They do all sorts of great procedures, but do make sure when you contact them that you tell them I sent you over. Hey, man, Lund sent me over, said he's going to take care of you. Boom. All of a sudden they're going, oh, okay. A lot of places, if you mention my name, it's probably not a good thing. Dr. Riopel, it's a really good thing. So make sure you mention my name when you make that appointment. All right, everybody have a tremendous, what is today, Tuesday? Yeah, today was trash day, so today's Tuesday. Tuesday is the day. If any news breaks today, like it did yesterday, we had to do a quick grade of the 49ers offseason. We had some shorts go out. We shot them out. Make sure that you have those alerts on. Please just do me one favor before you leave today. Hit that like button on YouTube, John Lund Unleashed. So even if you're watching on another channel or on another platform, whether that be Facebook or LinkedIn or X at John Lund Radio or Instagram at John Lund Radio. Hit me up. Make sure you hit that like button. Please subscribe and have those alerts on so you know when we go live or when we push out other content. Birdsong tonight. Let's say a good word for that one so that I don't look stupid. Maybe I'll go out and get a card right now just because, and then we'll talk all about that tomorrow. If we don't speak before then, 8 a.m. tomorrow for the Wednesday edition of the show. Remember, we're Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. on Saturdays when news breaks. And just whenever for the heck of it. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. Remember, on the Bay Area Sports Collective today on YouTube, 11 o'clock for Polymax Particles with Creative Tony. And then at 2 o'clock, do not miss this. The Tom Tolbert Show is going to have Steve Kerr in Tolbert's backyard. 2 o'clock on the Bay Area Sports Collective. Do not miss it. Everybody have a tremendous, I'm going to make sure I didn't miss any supers here. Everybody have a tremendous Tuesday. And we'll talk soon.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at johnlundunleashed.com. johnlundunleashed.com.
Goodbye!